Excuse me, can I please talk to you for a minute?
Sure. You look kind of familiar.
Yeah, you do too. I just want to know, do you know a podcast named The Podcast Is Mine?
Oh, yeah, I know that podcast.
I just want to let you know that it's mine.
No, it's mine.
Hello, and welcome to The Podcast Is Mine. I'm Bhushan and
And I'm Sunny Gruel.
How are you, Sunny?
Yeah, really good. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too, even though we only saw each other 5 minutes ago.
We are double backing this episode.
Exactly. So if you've just joined us from Ep 1, welcome. If you took a break, I hope you had a nice break. And welcome to the second session.
Yes.
Do you know, like when you go to work events and stuff and like when they welcome you back like after lunch?
And you're like, I'm so sleepy, I'm really tired, I haven't got any energy.
It's like, what time are the drinks? 5 o'clock? It's like, I've got a couple more hours to go.
Not nap through this.
But this isn't that at all. This is ANTM.
Excited. Yeah.
Like, y'all are so excited for this and we are so excited for this.
Yes.
So, but anyway, before we do that, we have, business as usual. We've got to talk
the diary.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to get the diary? Why don't you get the diary? Because I do all the heavy lifting.
You hurt your back. Okay, I'm picking it up. I'm picking it up.
That huge, dusty tome. Excuse me.
Just slide it
Sliding it over.
Open it up.
Open it. Thump. It's like a...
Oh, there's someone else's chicken scratchings on it this time.
Oh, sorry. That would be my chicken curry that I had last night. So this week, the diary of... So what people don't know about the diary of his own one hoe is it talks to us.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that book.
I'm just thinking of Hocus Pocus. That book was shady.
Yeah, I'm telling you, honestly. So this book tells us what to do. So anyway, the Diary of His Own One Hoe is asking us what are our favourite moments of 2020. So Sunny, would you like to go first?
Good idea. Okay, so the biggest highlight I would say is I got to do a little trip in Tacoma.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. The weather was good. The food is amazing, and it was COVID safe.
It was COVID, and you needed that at that point in time, wasn't it? Because it was just like such a melt pressure pot of a year.
Yeah, it was months of I think from kind of March onwards. I'd taken a few weeks off here and there, but being able to go away and feel safe, and weather was really good, food was really nice people, felt safe, and it was somewhere new. So that was one of my highlights.
Oh, lovely. Well, what was another of your highlights?
I loved cycling in London. I never thought I would do that.
Yeah.
And it was good because I've got all the fitness out of the way because this was also the year of the release of the PlayStation 5.
Oh, yes, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I've never... You're definitely not a gamer, but...
I had to get a Spice Girls reference in there somehow.
I love it.
Do you remember when Spice Girls released when they launched Channel 5? Welcome to a brand new station. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who says Spice Girls? sorry, go on. Carry on. PlayStation 5.
I was going to say it's definitely a little bit more futuristic than but we will do another deep dive into the world of gaming at some point in time. But yeah, I'm very excited.
Yes, it's very shiny and very beautiful. And I saw loads of people wanted it as well.
The demand has been out of control. I think this because of COVID, it's been hard to produce as many units, but also you can't have people queuing up outside shops, so they've sold them all online. It's been a bit of a car crash, actually.
Oh,
it's really frustrating. I think I was even sending messages from our podcast.
Oh God, yeah, I know. We shared the admin for the podcast Instagram, and I looked and I saw this message being sent to this company at 6:45 in the morning. I was like, oh my God, we've been hacked. And then I was like, who's this? And then I was like, oh, Sunny.
Sunny's inquiring about PlayStation 5 at random store because I know a lot of people use that to get in contact with stores, and I thought, I know what I'll do.
I'll leverage the audience I have.
And I didn't realise that it was on the podcast Instagram, and then you sent me a screenshot, and I thought, wow, that's so sweet. Bhushan was sending messages
on my behalf to try and procure it for me.
And you were like, no, I'm waiting for you to figure it out. I was like, oh my goodness. Anyway, what was your highlights of 2020?
So my highlights of 2020 would be, in the same way that you discovered cycling, walking, which sounds ridiculous, but I think for a lot of people as well, this will resonate. Just walking around the city. And just walking wherever you are, previously things that I would never have thought to, I'd take the tube or the bus, as we covered in our London quiz. I'm versed, remember. But just walking around town has just been a huge revelation, and I just feel so much more grounded and connected to the city. And I think that's just been a wonderful thing. I think secondly, reading as well, because I found that this year, my reading was getting better. I think after a long period of time, I kind of got back into reading because I'm an avid reader. And I think now I'm really at a good place with my reading. So rather than dropping off or stopping and stopping and starting, I'm constantly reading. So I think that's a great thing. And then I think the final one is probably a shared highlight for us both. You're listening to it right now.
Yay!
The podcast is mine.
I mean, just definitely the top one.
How amazing. I mean, 1 minute we're eating cakes from Gail's Bakery. And then the next, where...
It was like a whirlwind, and there's like all these paparazzi following us around.
Exactly. I remember I papped you that day.
I was cycling into the park, wasn't I? And you were like, look who I saw.
Exactly. And like you were cycling away, and I was like, who's that? But this podcast has really been a great highlight for 2020. And I'm just so glad. And I hope it's been a highlight for all our listeners as well.
Yeah, exactly. And for those of you that are starting to listen in 2021, it'll be a highlight for 2021.
21, exactly. You're in the right place right now. So that's the Diary of a Zone 1 home.
Okay, let me just close it up.
Close that tome. Oh, could you not put that dust in my face, please?
Oh, it's gone.
It's gone. So it's not gone into recycling. Don't worry. It's gone to Iron Mountain to be archived. And if you know about Iron Mountain, actually, do you know what we haven't mentioned?
I knew
we have not mentioned OnlyFans.
I was going to say
it's been 5 minutes and we've not mentioned OnlyFans.
Oh my gosh!
Oh
There'll be something from OnlyFans that will definitely peak its ugly head.
Exactly. And if OnlyFans want to be like sponsors, we are more than happy.
Yes, we'll happily promote you for a fee.
Okay. So anyway, we are in the midst of our feature-length episode, people. Feature-length. On America's Next Top Model, aka one of the greatest reality show in the world. So previously on TPIM, we discussed our love for America's Next Top Model and why the show was so important for our cultural development.
Completely agree.
So right now, where we're at is two podcasters storm their way to the top with a grand prize of a fashion spread inside a glossy magazine, representation from a noted modelling agency, and of course, the bus fare. Today, we look at the present day and the future of ANTM with a high fashion catwalk to the death with a designer we have never heard of before to determine who will be Britain's next top podcaster.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Hands on hips, best bitch face on, strut forward.
We took a dance move that no one can see, but we're loving it. There was an episode. Was it in the Rita Ora one or not?
Do you remember that? So do you remember that routine? The didn't. We loved.
It was just shoulder. It was shoulder leaning forward. It was the worst choreography I've ever seen. But it was so bad. It was brilliant.
It was brilliant. Oh my god! So the choreography. We've always picked up the choreography because I'll also be posting an amazing video of me dancing to "Bootiful." Do you remember I sent you?
Me that link.
So back in when I used to go to dance classes. We were allowed to request a song every now and then. So my request was, and I had, this is so funny, I've got to tell the story. So it's like Beautiful, and like, my teacher was like, all right, yeah, because my teacher watched America's Next Top Model as well, so it's great.
God.
And then on the day, like, of my request, I had food poisoning. And I was really like, and I felt really bad, and I was like, oh no, but I was like, it's my request.
I need to twerk today.
Yeah, exactly. And like, even before I went to the dance class, I chundered once in the gym toilets because I was just like, oh no, I don't know if I can do this. But you know what? It was the spirit of ANTM.
You pulled through. You were like Adrienne.
Like what were Tyra? I was Adrienne.
You had that IV drip in your arm, and you were dancing away.
I literally pulled the IV drip out, and then I performed that, and then collapsed later on outside. And the producer subtitles came. Are you okay? Get an ambulance, please. Can we get an ambulance for? They elevated my legs on a treadmill.
I love it.
Oh, it's so funny.
Oh
So,
but it's a very good segue, though, isn't it, to mention the first question?
Yes. So the first question is, why was the Rita Ora cycle, or Rita Ora as you call it, such an awful season? Actually, not even an awful season, a god-awful season.
It was just, I don't know why. I mean, what was Tyra doing her diploma at Harvard University at the time? Or was she just trying to kind of have a comeback moment and she wanted to take a break?
I don't know what she was doing. Like, it's literally like, oh, can you mind the shop while I pop to, the supermarket or go to the doctor's? She was literally like, I'll be back and I'll be watching. And it's like, well, just fucking present the
whole thing. I didn't understand it. And it caught me off guard. And I thought, okay, let me see. Like Rita, I'm not a fan of Rita's music, really. Occasionally, it's a good song.
Anywhere is a tune. But
yeah, there's some good songs here and there. But I just thought, does she have the personality for this? And she certainly does not. And
no.
She couldn't pull it off. And there wasn't she couldn't be assertive with her critiques because she's not a model.
No.
She may have modeled on. I know she tried to kind of say that she was a model. But
she's more of an ambassador.
Yeah,
and that was from her music. So you're right. She wasn't like Kate Moss. She wasn't like Naomi
She was an
Campbell.
influencer. I remember what someone said. I can't remember who it was. Might have been a YouTube comment. They were like, "I'm sick and tired of Rihanna's understudy." I was like, damn.
Understudy, you know.
I was like, oh no.
Damn. Well, that's what it felt like, though. It was literally like Tyra, like, you know, my IBS is flared up. Can you just sit in the chair while I go and sit in the other chair? But it was like, oh my God, like it was just such a bad scene. And the thing was, like, what I would have hoped with Rita Ora, I wish she had brought herself to it. So rather than, because obviously Tyra's shadow loomed, and like you said, like all the things you can't replicate, and like you said, she's not a model. But you are a singer and you are a star in certain respects. So bring that element of yourself. Don't be like, you know, when she did her Rimmel campaign as well. Her Rimmel campaigns were shit. Like, I didn't go and buy like Rimmel eyeliner because of Rita Ora. I bought it because of Kate Moss with like get the Landon look. Like that's what I want. I don't want Rita Ora like kind of like, you know,
she's reaching,
running around in phone boxes and kind of like, you know, in trench coats.
They were probably trying to make it more relevant to a younger audience, because I think that's probably when it got to the point, because these cycles were very much I mean, they would definitely change things over time, but it was the same formula again and again.
Yes.
So maybe it got to a point where, look, now we're not really maybe not that up to date and contemporary. So they were trying to do that.
Well, I think it's a great point, because I think the show has constantly tried to evolve, and it's always tried to be and do something different. Like, you know, for example, remember there was a big shake-up when they got rid of Miss J and Mr. J.
I was very sad.
That was really sad, and I thought that
I loved those two.
They were so great, and then they got rid of Nigel as well. I was like, thank fuck for
that. Is that when they brought in, what was that guy?
Oh, so Johnny Woojack. Wow. No, we weren't complaining there.
And we were very happy about that.
But what I liked about Johnny Woojack was that his era was really defined quite well, because in the sense that, and quite a lot of things were quite well defined as well. I remember when I kept sending you Instagrams of like, because you weren't really on Instagram at that point, and I was like Johnny Woojack, and you were like, I need to get on Instagram. This is what I think. Johnny Woojack. That took me off the edge. That broke the camel's back.
So those two people I follow Pink and then Johnny Woojack.
But he's a celebrity stylist, and like.
To Katy Perry was one of his biggest clients.
Yeah, and I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to, like you said, they were trying to evolve and appeal to a younger audience. So they were trying to appeal to that Instagram audience, to that social media audience. But then obviously they brought in those dreadful social media schools. And then
we talked about that in the last episode, didn't we? Brian Boy. And
that was
it was such a fail. That
was really bad. But I did think that bringing in Drew Elliott, actually, was Drew with Johnny Woojack? No, I think there was a couple of other judges first. But when they brought in like Law Roach, and because Law Roach is also an amazing celebrity star, Zendaya, incredible. Celine Dion, like he's got
he's got the back, he can back it up.
And they had like Tina Shey as like one of the guests as well. Do you remember?
Yeah, they did.
So they did. Some of it worked and some of it didn't. But I also remember in my research reading how, as the show went on, more people got involved, and at the beginning it was literally about 6 people making the decisions. You know, so like Tyra, Ken Mock, and a few Ken Mock, of course. We always love Ken Mock. This is a Ken Mock Stan podcast, and we will not hear a bad word against him. And
he's going to produce our podcast
one
day.
Better Bankable Productions. The bank vault shutting and turning around, locking it there. Oh my God, that's where we keep the Diary of His Own One Ho in the bankable vault.
We need to create a meme of that.
We will definitely. We will show you what we're talking about.
It's like Hocus Pocus meets Tyra Banks.
This is the hybrid that we didn't know we needed. Honestly, 2021, get ready. That we're telling you. But that whole. I think a lot of people did start getting involved and saying, "Oh, this show needs to be this," and it was very evident. And I think in the last like 2 season cycles that we had, so with the men, I think it did kind of bring back some of that focus and that sharpness. But not enough to kind of like sustain.
No, it didn't work. I think they were trying to join a bandwagon they didn't need to. Because the thing is, I preferred not to be the one that had any influence. Obviously, we didn't get to.
Yeah.
Why did they? Wait a minute. Why did they not
Hold up.
Why didn't they ask us to be one of those social media? Because the thing is, they went on social media to find people, and it was while it was being filmed. Obviously, they selected a set number of people across the globe, because you'd always have some basic person online with this really crappy internet connection that was like giving an opinion on something. And I just thought, who are you, and how did you get chosen for this?
Well, you know, that was such a kind of. I think that was a real.
Are they all actors?
They were all. I mean, the way that again, knowing what we know now, which is one of my favourite phrases. That was definitely recorded ahead of time.
Oh, it was 100%. It wasn't live.
Because like, you can imagine, like, you know, if you posted that live, it would just not
It would
work.
be too many spoilers.
Yeah,
wouldn't
exactly. Those people would probably put
They signed an NDA.
actors signed NDAs. They weren't allowed to talk about. They were only shown a specific set. And do you know what? Sometimes what they would talk about, they would be like, "Oh, this person gave a really great photo, but the photo we saw was shit."
Yeah,
and it's like you probably saw something different. So the producers are playing you off. So it's like, oh, well, at least you're. And then Tyra in her final round, in her job feedback that no one asked for, would be like, you did really well with the social media fans, but not with the industry. And you're like, no, that's bullshit. Like, but as well, what's really interesting is it did mark a turning point in the fashion industry because Instagram has been the great leveler. Whereas before, the fashion industry called all the shots, and now, like you said, like these influencers and understudies are like kind of ruling the roost.
That's why she managed to get a big spot hosting the show.
And that's how it was. It probably was that Rita Ora had like 25 minutes. Like, was Katy Perry not available? Or do you know what I mean? It was something like, but it probably was along those lines. That look, she's got 30 million followers. We can afford her in this bracket. Yeah. She's got the time. She's got the, in her schedule.
She's not on tour. She hasn't got an album out.
She got an album out, exactly.
No.
So on that, it's a nice segue into our kind of next question, which is have any other modelling shows come close to the high that ANTM gives us?
That is a good... I mean, we talked about one in the last episode, didn't we, about model behaviour, and I loved that. And I think it's because it was very early on in the days of America's Next Top Model, and it was just a very British take on things, because I know they've done different franchises of ANTM, and I've tried to watch other seasons, like the one that Kat Deely presented, and I like Kat Deely, she's great, but it just didn't have that edge, because firstly, they couldn't pull off the drama like they did in the States, because obviously Ken Mock was the
Ken Mock was like pumping that budget into the drama team.
And they weren't as many kind of hilarious laugh out loud moments that I was kind of looking for. But then when there was things like model behaviour, that was just a little bit more, it was so British and it was quite gritty, and I was just like, I like this, because these people, again, they're not trying to be American, because they did a season, didn't they, that was Brits versus the Americans?
Yes.
And I saw a clip of that, and there was one of the girls that was like kicked off to Kelly Cutrone. Kelly Cutrone was like, why are you running around the set?
Yeah.
And she was like, I've been running around to get something for the photo shoot.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, chill out. And then she's one of those people that she just wants to push people's buttons. You could tell. She wanted to just be ruling the roost. And then she does a really good photo, and then she's in the judging panel, this girl, I've forgotten her name now. And she's like, proper Cockney, this girl. She's just like, not made for... This is the reason why I don't think that model really works in the UK, because we don't have that kind of like super out there, but conventionally, we don't have that personality. It doesn't fit the model. And then she was just like being so defensive. She completely cussed Kelly out, and she's like stormed off. She's like, and then you see the cameras. This is a moment where all the producers are like scrambling around. She's like, I'm gonna knock her block off.
I remember that.
And I thought, they weren't ready for this. They weren't ready for the Brits. And that model behaviour wasn't that like ghetto, but it just felt authentic to what we are as Brits.
It did. And also because that's a great point, because there's two great points from that. First is that in model behaviour, I remember like once the boys overslept, and then they arrived later at the shoot, and then like Dylan Jones, who's like the editor of British GQ, he comes to tell them off. And then it's this whole kind of idea, like, you might have jeopardized your whole thing in the show. And they're just kind of like, sorry, we overslept. Like, the alarm didn't go off. Like, they clearly didn't. They'd gone out partying because the camera crew followed them. And it's like, literally, they were like, well, look, we can't get any models to replace you right now. Like, the whole show will go down the toilet if we chuck you out. And so we're going to just then have to let you off this one time. And also the other thing as well, is I think that is true in the modelling industry as well. I can see that, like, if the models, like... know who they're working with. Yeah. Like, I remember, like, so way back in the day, I did a internship. I don't know if I've ever told you this. I'll have to show you the pictures. I did an internship at The Guardian on the fashion desk.
Oh my God.
That's right, girl. I got fashion credentials. This is in 2007. And it's like, because at that time I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should go into... Someone had suggested to me, go into fashion and like work in fashion. You might enjoy it. And I did. I loved those 2 weeks. Yeah. But then what happened with that, afterwards I got a job in TV. So then... Yeah,
it was kind of segue into that.
First world problems. It's like, TV or fashion? What should I do? Like, I'm that socialite kind of like, I don't know what to do. Or should I just be like a gentleman? But when I did the we got to go and shoot, and I remember like the models who came on, and like they were really like, so the men's model fashion shoot, and like there was two themes. One was grey, another was sweaters and stuff. And like the models like knew like the photographer, and I was just literally on there like kind of like, oh my god, this is like America's Next Top Model. I'm so excited. And like this was a season that Danielle had just won.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, luckily the creative director, he had also watched it as well. And he said, my favourite line from Top Model is like when you make sick look pretty. So do you remember when Danielle got really ill in Thailand and then she posed on an elephant? And everyone on the crew, they like that day, they like, because it's funny, like it was only like a day's shoot or something, but we got it done in half a day because the model was so good.
Oh wow.
And like he literally, and what was amazing is like you just give him something and be like, can you try this on? And he'd like get undressed in front of you, try it on.
I'd be like, can you try this one on? And this one, and this one, and this one.
And these panties.
Keep taking this off.
Yeah,
Keep taking
exactly.
the off.
But it was like, and then it made me think different. And then afterwards, I was talking with the creative director because like he was like, because I was the intern on set.
Yeah.
And like he was saying to me like, what did you think of it all? And I was like, I thought it'd be like America's Next Top Model, and it's not. And he said, no, it's really exaggerated. And he said like, you know, most of the time we work with models that we know, and then in some elements of that were in America's Next Top Model, where if you knew like the people you were working with, then yeah, of course you're going to get booked again. And that's I think what Tyra was kind of like aiming at. But then at the same time with Kelly and that girl, I'm going to knock her block off. At the same time,
She was on the street, I'd knock her block off.
But it's true, like someone like Kelly Catrone as well, I can see that she would pick on models, and like she doesn't seem like a nice person.
She had a power trip.
Yeah. And I think that's really sad.
Because you ever see her on the hills as well?
Oh, was she on the hills?
She was on the hill. That's where she was like quite famous as well from that first. And she was she was such a horrible boss. I remember like the people that were working for her was Lauren and this other girl called Whitney maybe. But she would just bully them, and I just thought, you are really miserable, and you obviously don't like all these gorgeous people around you. You just want to make them suffer.
Yeah.
And that is, to be honest, the premise of America's Next Top Model a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's make all the really gorgeous people
Really
suffer.
gorgeous girls, like, you know, you've been blessed with this talent, we're going to drive you right down. And you have to kind of prove that you are worth it. But that's a real terrible way to be as well, isn't it? Like, you know,
yeah,
but it's the dichotomy of.
But that was what surprised me about the whole show. I was like, look, you don't really typically have people standing up for themselves, and I just kind of thought they desperately want to be there. Like they're gonna say anything, but the Brit version didn't obviously apply that rule.
I'm going to knock her block off, honestly. So yeah, and do you know the other show that I lightly want to touch on before move on is The Face,
which we're going to do a deep dive on.
Yes,
but tell us about The Face.
Just briefly. So The Face is also a model search program.
Yes.
And it's hosted by super, small time model. You may have heard of her. I don't know her. We don't know her. It's hosted by Naomi Campbell. But when I watched, I have to say I learned a lot more from The Face in the 2 seasons that it was on.
Did it only have 2?
Well, it only had 2 seasons. But what was interesting is it had a UK version, a US version, and an Australian version. And I watched.
So did Naomi?
She was in all 3.
Oh.
And it is really interesting because then obviously each market is different.
Yeah.
So obviously the US market is different to the UK market, to the Australian market. And it was really good. It was a really good show. Like the way Naomi would just say, like, you know, when I worked with Versace or when I worked with with Valentino. But she would drop these names and you'd be like, actually, yeah, you worked with the masters. Yeah. You really did work with the people who, you know, your shit. Like in the first challenge, there's a wind machine and there's this marvellous moment. Naomi's got this weave down to her ass. And she's literally like, when you have to go on, she'll stand there, stare down all the girls, and be like, you have to pose and work in difficult conditions. She's like, wind, please. And then someone switches on this big fuck off wind machine, blows in her hair,
a huge mane.
But literally, there's a switch, and you just see this.
Yeah,
it comes to the screen fills. It's like wow, like you.
She is amazing.
She is absolutely incredible.
You know what you need to watch before we do a deep dive on Naomi? Have you seen her cribs?
No.
You see her cribs.
Oh my god.
It's on this island. It's this like beautiful beach house, and it's just, oh my god. We'll save it for another day.
We'll save that. And then just very quickly, the only other international franchise I want to talk about is Australia's Next Top Model.
That was actually quite. I
thought that was quite decent.
They were good.
And do you remember Ducky Thought? So this was a Somalian girl.
Thought.
It's spelled thought as in thoughts.
An actual thought.
But Ducky is from Somalia, but she's brought up in Australia.
Oh, wow.
And she was in the top 3. And it for the first time, it seemed like Australia's Next Top Model was going to choose a black model to win, which would have been incredible.
Yeah.
But she didn't win. And the girl they did choose was, like, I can't remember. I've forgotten who the other girl was. The reason I mentioned Ducky is because she's now modelling for Fenty.
Wow.
Yeah. So remember we watched the Savage Fenty?
We were watching that. Was she in that?
She was in that, yeah. Ducky, and like she's on Vogue, and I went to this exhibition at the V&A, name drop, at the Victoria and Albert Museum,
Yeah,
Zone
Zone
1. Zone 1, yes. And she was in that exhibition as well. And I was like, good for you. And like even in the like little blurb under her picture, it said like, she started on Australia's Next Top Model and grew. And I was like, it just shows you that this show kind of, even if, because there were so many other stars it produced, like Anna-Leigh Tipton as well. So Anna-Leigh Tipton was in Crazy Stupid Love. She's the young nanny who fought, the young girl.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah. Have you not seen Crazy Stupid Love?
Sorry.
Oh my God.
The list is getting longer.
No, but how could you not seen Crazy Stupid Love?
haven't seen it.
Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling. It's a really lovely film. Oh my God.
I'll get on that right after.
Go. Do you know, on that note, we are moving to our next point. So, all right, so this is kind of like a chicken and egg question.
Oh my God, this is a really big topic as well.
This
is like so juicy.
AF, honestly.
And I'm so glad I've done my homework before this.
Yeah, can you imagine? You would have failed if you hadn't
I
studied for
started
this.
watching, that should have been the highlight of 2020. And you're
Well,
here
you
in
actually
second.
watched Drag Race, yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I have been nagging. Actually, both of us in our achievements, like if this was like a school report, like you started on Drag Race, I started on Real Housewives. Like finally, like
yeah, and I watched Below Deck.
Oh, Below Deck and you overtook me. Oh my God,
I'm on season 7, no, season 8.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous. I really need to get Hey You. Can you imagine Tyra holding a hand? She's like, so Sunny, you've watched Real Housewives, but do you know anything about Drag Race? And she'd be like, and then we have Bhushan. You are a Drag Race queen, but do you know anything about
Below Deck
Below Deck
season
7? And I'll be like, Tyra, I didn't have Hey. No, you're trying to talk. And then do you know how she'd choose that? She'd be like, so who goes, Bhushan or Sunny?
And then it's a blank picture.
There's no picture here, yeah. No, there'd be a picture of Hey You, and she's like, well, Sunny, you got Hey You, so you got to... Below Deck always wins.
We need to do another deep dive into that once you've seen it, because there are some shady moments in Below Deck.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
they
my
touch
God.
on loads of stuff like Black Lives Matter.
What?
Yeah, in terms of the stuff they have. No, because they actually have a black girl in season 7, and she doesn't get treated fairly. And I think it was just before Black Lives Matter. It made me think, oh my God, I wish this season had aired now, because the thing is, I'm sure people are going to dissect it. We need to dissect it.
All right, we're going to
She
get on
did not
that.
get treated fairly.
That is awful.
There was no equality.
Because it's like that $1 million East Hampton House program, $1 million Beach House program, where I said that which we spoke about in our reality TV show, Palooza. Yeah, that whole, when everybody like kind of ganged up on that black guy.
It was Kate, your favourite. She didn't treat her well.
Okay. Oh my God. I'm going to tweet her. I'm going to subtweet her. Okay, but anyway, this is a chicken and egg, exactly. So Tyra and RuPaul's Drag Race. Who is the mother and who is the child?
Start your engine.
Start your engine. Na, 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 na. That's a remix and a half, isn't it?
It's so many. But so I hadn't seen any of drag. I don't know, for so many years I'd avoided it, and the reason I'd avoided it is because of America's Next Top Model.
Yeah.
Not because I thought it's a completely different premise or they're trying to copy it. I just thought this America's Next Top Model is so. Everyone would say Drag Race is so funny. I was like, America's Next Top Model is hilarious, but it's just not probably as popular because this had such a cult following initially, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then just blew it out the water. And I just kind of thought, it seems a bit samey. I'm not sure I'm going to be into it.
Yeah.
And the clips I would see were like really glossy, like episodes that were like so like polished. And I just thought, I don't know if I like this kind of styling. So that's kind of, so I caught up this lockdown. And
Thank God.
I'm still on season 6. I can't get past that season.
I think you just need to start a new season.
Like, it's that everyone loves her. Who's the one that's really short with everybody?
Bianca Del
I
Rio.
don't really like her. I don't really get her.
I can see both sides of it. Like in some ways, she is quite short and abrupt, and like her styling is pedestrian.
I just didn't like her look.
Yeah, I don't think I look at Adore Delano and Courtney Act. I think
that has actually got some of the funniest ones, isn't it, that season? When we did the Halloween episode.
Oh my God,
Gigi, she was my favourite. She's on the phone. She's like, "Hello." Oh my God! She screams, and Adore's meant to come over. Adore's just like, "Oh, fuck."
That is so funny.
So you know what? I need to finish that one because they are some of my favourite moments in that season.
It's true, and they also have Sissy That Walk as the video.
Yes, they do.
So have you passed that?
I haven't got that yet. But I knew about the song.
Because again, so many elements taken from like ANTM. So like having the music video and the challenges as well, especially like the first
few.
They
replicated, didn't they?
Oh, completely.
Definitely.
It's a pastiche.
It was definitely
like
a satire.
She-mail. Instead of Tyra Mail.
So Tyra would do like a little update for everyone in Tyra Mail on screen.
Yeah.
And then RuPaul
calls it she-mail, and like the hair is like bigger and bigger each message. Oh, it's so fun. Because I remember so this time I was the full ANTM stan, and the guy who I worked with who watched ANTM with me was always like, you've got to watch Drag Race. He was a drag queen himself. Okay. So he would always tell me, like, you've got to watch Drag Race. You've got to watch.
You tell me about this guy, Scottish
guy who sadly passed away.
Oh,
Chris Chapman, rest in peace. We miss you. But he used to tell me about, like, he used to take me, like, he took me to a lot of drag events. Like, he actually took me to drag events.
Wow. Before you saw the show as well.
Before I'd seen the show, and like he was literally like, he took me to drag bingo. This was back in 2009, 2010. It was not a big thing. Sorry, not to say a big thing.
It wasn't as
it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't in the mainstream. No. It wasn't in the zeitgeist. It really was a niche thing. Like even I had like a reservation. I was like, drag queens. So I was like, excuse me, I'm all about models. I don't care about drag queens.
Same, that's what I thought.
And he was like, no, come with me to this. I've got a spare ticket. So he took me to like drag bingo. He was also friends with like quite a number of key people on the drag scene in London who have now gone on, like, you know, there's a pub called The Glory in East London.
Yeah, we've
been. Did we go?
Yeah, we've been.
So he was, like the drag queens who he introduced me to at that time opened The Glory. Like he knew everybody on the scene.
It's actually really fun in there.
It's a lot.
It's so
pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID,
it was really busy. And like, but he was like, you've got to watch Drag Race. You've got to, and bless him, he even brought it. Like because like me and him, we used to love Gossip Girl and ANTM, so we'd always like trade stuff on that. And then he was always trying to make me watch Drag Race, and I was like, look, I'm not going to download it. No, I'm not going to watch it. So and he was also a bit lazy as well, because like he at work, we had to kind of sometimes work together. And he would never get the work done because he was always watching TV or doing other stuff. And then one time, but this was like how much he wanted me to watch it. He brought his own laptop in and then sat me down at lunchtime. And he said, like, right, we're going to watch this now. And then I watched the entire first season of Drag Race with him. And then I was like, oh, right, okay, this is good. But then I didn't really pick it up until 2018 because I was or 2017 rather. I was in Chicago, and I think season 9 was ending then or something. And I remember there was parties everywhere all over Chicago for Drag Race finale, like, you know, in bars and pubs. They were like, oh, we're having and it was a real huge thing. And I was like, okay, maybe I should revisit the show and check it again.
It's got such a big following.
Yeah. And then when I did revisit it, I was like, oh my God, this is like Top Model. And then I was like, this is how Top Model could have evolved.
Yes,
like, right. Do you know what I mean? Like what Ru's done is quite smart in the sense that all the producers have done, the way they've evolved the program. Is how we would have wanted Tyra to do it, I think.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And to be fair, what reminded me of it is when you were talking about you weren't really into the world of drag, and I never really thought I was either, because I think it was just not something that appealed to me. But I was in Bangkok, wasn't I, over Christmas?
Yeah.
And I remember I just met some guys there that were traveling from the States, and they were like, oh, do you want to come with us to a drag show? And I was like, okay, I'm in Thailand. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be quite good. And it was hilarious. And they had the person that was kind of hosting it, she was so funny and bitchy, and I was cracking up, and I was like, oh my God, these people are hilarious. They're like so like polished, and they're so catty. And I thought, actually, maybe I could be into drag. And one of the performers was one of the winners on Thailand's Drag Race,
which is supposed to be an amazing franchise.
Yeah, they were very authentic. Like you couldn't tell they were like very fishy, as I'm the term. But you probably saw on my Instagram there was a picture of me with one of the drag queens, and I wrote on the tagline, I was like, Mom, I'm ready to settle down. But this track, she cracked me up. So basically, she was performing on the side of, once the actual show was done, she just started singing along to stuff and miming. And she was miming along to Pussycat Dolls When I Grow Up. When I grow up, I'm going to post that video. She knew the choreography perfectly. Nicole Scherzinger couldn't have done it better. I was like in awe. I was filming her. I think I was the only person there filming her, and everyone was looking around me like, yeah, he's that creep.
So I remember that time once, sorry, just to interrupt. I remember when we went to see Adele once. Remember, I got tickets to her finale, and the whole time, like, she's singing Hello, and like you were recording it and watching it, and I was like, oh my God.
I think it reminds me of when I saw her in Heather once as well. And then, no, actually, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. That's
OnlyFans. That's OnlyFans. There's your OnlyFans mention, people.
But that kind of gave me a little bit of an experience in drag, and it's funny that I've never gone to see a drag show because I don't know, I just never felt like it was on my radar. And then when I saw that, I was like, actually, maybe I could get into drag queens and, you know, Drag Race. And I obviously loved it. It was hilarious, but it took a lot of the elements from America's Next Top Model, but it grew out of that, I think.
Yes.
I think in the beginning they tried to kind of use that to propel themselves, but it definitely became its own beast.
It's its own beast now, and not only that, like because it was kind of a mashup of America's Next Top Model, so that's the whole kind of judging, the she-male, the mainstay. But the main stage is more drag, the challenge, and so the sewing challenges came from Project Runway.
Oh, so they stole that from there.
Yeah, so it was intentionally designed to kind of be a mashup of this. But now what's so fascinating is how Drag Race dominates kind of like the zeitgeist and the popular culture at the moment.
Everyone watches it.
Yeah, so drag queens now are our kind of cultural kind of icons and our cultural signposts. So like, you know, beauty, for example, has had such an explosion because of drag queens. And like, you know, there's always previously be like, oh my God, you know, your makeup looks like a drag queen. And that used to be an insult, but now it's not anymore. Now it's like, wow, because drag queens, like I said, they're innovating.
Flawless.
They've even got their own makeup ranges. And,
I'm starting to notice even on season 6.
But the thing is, like, Tyra tried to do that because remember with Beautiful, like it was about her beauty range, Tyra Beauty. I see your beauty. Remember, I see your beauty.
I see dead people.
Exactly. I see lawsuits. But you know what's really interesting as well is because like both franchises are fronted by successful black presenters.
Yeah.
And they both like, you know, have their careers and names in their own rights, and like and I think as well that's why a lot of people they're coming for a lot of flack as well.
Yeah, no, you do, and that's such a good point actually, because that's what made ANTM so successful. Tyra knew her industry, and RuPaul knew his industry as well. He knew drag so well, so I think that's what made it so successful. What is really different and polarizing when I first watched the first season, and I loved the early ones, they're some of my favorites, but how the drag queens would fight back to the panel. I was like, wow, these guys are so... But it made me laugh because it made me think, you know what? These girls, but these poor young girls are quite like, you know... what's the word? Submissive in America's Next Top Model. You ain't getting any of that with these sassy gay men. They're like, we will tell you how it is. And they will be so defensive. And remember that guy, who was the drag queen that told RuPaul off for not saying that she looked pretty? She was like, not one of you have said I look pretty today. Oh, not one, like the one that used to dress.
Is it Tiana?
She had horrible outfits. It was very kind of Vegas.
I think it was, was it Derek? No, it wasn't Derek. Oh, I know the one you mean. I can't remember the name.
He just shaded them all, and it was just so good. I was like, you let them have it. And that's the thing I loved about this. I was like, okay, this is good because they're not suckers. They're not punks. They're going to stand up to you and let you have it. And also in the judging, like, you know, the elimination, they have a dance-off. Like, one thing that was missing from ANTM, like, you know, we would only get the music video towards the end or something. Like, you know, if Tyra deigned to give us a single, or like some rap stars like, oh, I need some girls in the background. Yeah, exactly.
But like, you know, I'd wished, like, you know, that, you know, but with Drag Race, you get a song at the end of every single episode, and it's so
sassy.
It really is. It's just, and I think, yeah, it's a shame really, because I wonder now, because there are a few kind of ties between like, you know, the ANTM and Drag Race Nexus,
but they never had Tyra come on. I always thought
Tyra's never been on the panel. She's never been on the panel of Drag Race. But so, you know, Raja, who won season 3 of Drag Race,
he's good friends with her, isn't he?
So he was a makeup artist for Twiggy. And I think he has some sort of ANT. I think he's done Tyra's makeup in the past as well.
Yeah.
So he had like that kind of connection.
Yeah.
And then in season 9, on ANTM, we saw some of the drag queens from Drag Race. So Valentina, who you will meet in season 9. And 3 other was it Kim G?
Came into America's Next Top Model.
Came onto America. There's a challenge with the Drag Race queen. Because there was one challenge where Jay Manuel, remember he dressed up in drag?
Jay Manuel did.
Do you not remember this? Do you remember they were doing their alter egos? So they had to be a man and a woman.
Yes.
So Jay did a drag queen. He stands in front of them, and most of the girls don't realise who it is. And he's like, "Hey, everybody!" And it's like, "Oh my God, it's Jay Manuel!" Like, you know, drag, and no surprise, he makes a very pretty drag queen.
I can imagine.
But that was there's kind of and then also like, you know, things like voguing, which Tyra taught. Remember Benny Ninja?
Yeah.
And that was another example of how the kind of worlds collide. And
they did. I think there is definitely, because I used to say to people, if you like Drag Race, watch America's Next Top Model. But I think it probably came a bit early.
Yes.
And the people just couldn't relate. And they see Drag Race as the original now.
Yes.
Because it's just obviously a huge memory.
I think a lot of today's generation probably are more influenced by Drag Race.
100%.
Whereas, like, you know, oldies like us, originals, like, you know, the mother of A. But I would say that, you know, to be honest with you, I would say that it's even Stevens, to be honest. I wouldn't
They're
say
both they're very different shows,
Yes.
aren't they? They're brilliant in their own ways, but I just can understand why people would draw parallels in them. And it's a shame that ANTM's not on anymore. But
Well, I think so. Well, so looking ahead, what is the future for ANTM?
do you think Tyra would? Because when I saw that clip of her recently talking about it, I think she was just probably feeling like she's had to kind of explain so many things, and she said, "I'll happily do it." One thing that's really good about Tyra is she's not defensive. She'll always just explain her point of view,
Yeah.
and actually she said sorry for a lot of things.
She just wants the camera pointing out.
She definitely does. She definitely does. But I just think I don't know if she would now be too afraid to kind of go there, because is it a case of, look, we can't really bully the girls anymore, or you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of the stuff that was entertaining is the stuff that's really shady. To be
Yes, very true. Do you know what? At the same time, I think you're so right. I think she could do it again, but they've got to be so bang on. They've really got to work on the treatment. It's got to be really spot on, so that it's either got to be a show that's going to completely innovate and take fashion to the next level, or it's going to be something which reflects fashion as it is now and somehow keeps sustaining itself.
Yeah, because I'm almost thinking these days, would people even want to? Because now I imagine a lot of models probably launch their career using social media.
Yes.
So then, how would that sort of concept work in a setting that is not live? It's not a weekly live show, is it?
Well, this is the thing. Like, would it have to become like a? Because, for example, Germany's Next Top Model has a big live finale. It's a big TV event.
Is it still on?
Yeah, I think so. And then I think like Kylie. I remember
Mark's getting that coin.
because the only reason I remember that is that Kylie performed "All the Lovers" once at the finale, and it's actually a really I love that song anyway. But that version of it, or where the way she performed it, there's this great bit when she bursts into all the lovers, and then she walks down the stage, and then she's got this long train, but as only Kylie can do,
so beautiful.
And then the way she, it's just such a great moment. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And then I was like, wow, look at that. I was like, I wonder what that's for. That must be a singing show. And it's like, no, it's Germany's Next Top Model, and it's fronted by Heidi Klum.
Oh my goodness, that makes sense.
Yeah. So which is like even again a supermodel who there's but I think they I would love to see a couple more seasons, but they need to get it right. And
I think they need to. I mean, I love the men in there, but I think it'd be nice to go back to the original concept, maybe
or maybe just have a girls only and then a boys only.
Yeah,
and then also like
and non-binary.
Yes.
Why do they just do that?
Well, that's the thing. Like, it needs to be something where it's just kind of
disrupting the old style.
Disrupting, yeah. So where there's no kind of like barrier to entry.
And bringing back some of the originals. We could have like Jade.
This is not America's Next Top Best Friend. I loved her CoverGirl commercial. If you're ever having a down day, just look up Jade CoverGirl commercial.
Tell us about this, because that's one of my favorite ones. I'll tell one of my other favorite moments. You tell us about this one, because this is epic.
So what happens is that normally the final three girls. So one of the prizes of America's Next Top Model is you get offered a cosmetics contract. Normally with CoverGirl,
isn't it?
And so in the final episode, you have to do 3 kind of challenges, and one of them is recording an advert, like a video advert. And you get given a script, and you have to learn everything in like a really, because that actually reminds me, a lot of the challenges apparently are based on things that Tyra actually had to do. So she actually had to like get off so for example, once they had to get off a plane and go straight to a shoot.
Yes,
she's waxing lyrical about how she sat by the toilets and then she had to go she always talks about stuff like that.
But it's good. It's real experience.
It's real experience, and I think working models do that. And then also the idea of models, like when they do go season, like you think, why don't you just get them cars and drive them around everywhere?
They have to find their own way.
Yes,
and they probably can't afford it at that level of their career anyway. When they're trying to get out there.
But did you ever watch that program, The Model Agency? It's called. Was it called Model? I can't. Basically, it was about select models or storm models. One of the two. It might have been storm models. And they kind of showed like how they cast models, how they book, working models, what life was like. And like one of the girls who was on the show was like complaining, like she's like, oh, will there be a car for me? And then like the booking agent was like, look, if you want to spend all your money on cars, driving around, driving, you're not going to have much money left. So like, and that is why Tyra always did that go-see thing where you got given a map or a direction.
That was the best challenge as well, because those girls, remember that one that slapped
oh my God. And Natasha's outside like, what?
Natasha's said, people have war in their country. And she's like, shut up!
That was like that Kardashian. I hate the Kardashians.
I love them.
That bit when she's like, your sister is in prison or something. There's a bit when Kim is like, I don't know, there's a line and then Kris Jenner says something to her like, your sister is in labour, or I don't know what the line is. I will find the meme and post it on our socials. But there's basically a line similar to that where it's like kind of children are dying or something along those lines.
Oh gosh, she lost perspective. She was like, I would have been on time if my stupid driver did not turn up on this street. And I was like, and the inside, the person that's like
the booker is kind of like, what the... And what I love is then the Ken Mock so shady, because then they edit it to show that she didn't tell the driver that.
Did they? Oh.
So there's a clip where she just says...
So we don't know the truth?
No, we know the truth. So she claims, she said to the driver, meet me at Hopper Street, or whatever it was. But when they show the actual clip, she just says, I'll be over there.
Okay, so they cut that bit out.
But, again, we don't know if they edited it out. So maybe she did genuinely tell him and they sabotaged it. But it was just... I mean, that ghosty thing was always funny because you have to get back by 5 o'clock. And then,
none of them could get back. Do
you remember Camille as well? This is my signature walk. It's what's going to make me
I've been selected out of 6,000 girls to be here. And they were all just like... There was a guy translating it. And the other woman was just giving these dirty looks like... I don't think,
who are you? It's like, and also, like, do you remember like the whole thing about pageant girls? Because this comes up in Drag Race as well, where it's like, oh, she's a pageant queen, and it's so true because like Hadassah. Do you remember Hadassah she was in Niall's cycle? So and she's like, yeah, you know, the girls had this poise and stuff.
Yeah.
When it came to the fashion shoots, like you knew editorial. And you knew that was going to happen because.
So go back to the Jade moment.
Sorry, to the Jade story. So basically, Jade has to walk up and down the stairs. She has to be at a party and pretend that she's having a great time. Then she has to basically walk. So it's a long tracking shot. She walks up a flight of stairs, comes to a swimming pool, and then there's a waiter with a tray of CoverGirl cosmetics, and she has to say some scripted lines. So she does one take, and then like Jay's like, you need to be a bit more interact. She literally just walks up the stairs and then comes and like mutters her lines.
It's like it's like 30 seconds of me listening to her heels clip clopping. Yeah. That's the other thing that's my favourite is while these guys are actually doing a job and they're being filmed, and I think that's probably the funniest moments when they're just like, God, we've done 15 takes with these idiots and they can't get it right.
Can you imagine, like, a tough day at the office, honey? Like, literally, you had some idiot. And then, like, when she does her second take, she's like, this party's fabulous. And she's kind of walking. She overacts. Then she gets to say her lines and then she says the wrong lines. And she starts improvising. It's like me with the boy, you know, excuse me, can I please talk to you a minute? I think it's Jade's fault that I improvise that all the time.
And Jay's like, she's like a drag queen. Yeah. And the guy that's got the screen is shaking laughing as well. And I'm like, this is why it's genius, because those moments, they're completely unscripted. Yeah. They just come out of what these idiots are doing. And then she grabs her makeup and she's like, lightweight makeup. And she's like, fuck. And he was like, cover girls don't say that.
Especially in the earlier seasons, these moments came out of nowhere. I mean, do you know, there's one thing we have to discuss. You know, it might actually be your favorite. What's your favorite moment?
My favorite moment is when they're in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing an advert and it's in Italian, but none of them can speak Italian. But the thing is, they're reading from a script. And it's off camera slightly, so they're not looking at the camera. And the girl comes in, and she's just like speaking in Italian, but she's like, her eyes are halfway across the screen, and it just sounds so crazy. And so they're just cracking up at her. And when the panel are watching it, like Miss J is cracking up, like, and then this other girl comes out, and it's meant to be like really kind of sensual wording. It's like they're promoting CoverGirl Queen Collection or something. And I think the actual word, it translated into is it the way I move my hips? But they remember that. And the other girl's putting a lipstick on and she's just so awkward. She's clip-clopping around the heels and she sits down and they have to kiss a guy before they do it. And she just kisses him in the most awkward way. And they're all cracking up and poor Lena Poroskova's just like, I saw you coming closer and I was just like, ugh, you're gross. But them trying to speak Italian, when they would do that stuff, that was so mean, but it was hilarious. So I'd highly recommend watching Italian ANTM advert. That's the best one.
So funny. Oh my God. But we cannot have these feature-length episodes without talking about the moment which everybody knows about. Tiffany!
We were rooting for you! We were all
I don't know, my voice.
Never have I spoken to a girl like this.
Show some respect. Poor Tiffany. Oh my God. Oh.
Did Tiffany deserve that?
No.
Maybe I am angry inside.
Yeah.
I've been through stuff.
That was just that. I mean, that is the bittersweet, but like portion of the show. Like
That was an epic moment.
it was an epic moment. It was
That's
just
gone down in history. People don't even know America's Next Top Model. They know that meme.
oh God.
She cussed that. So the premise is there was a girl, Tiffany, who probably didn't show that level of commitment that they all wanted. And there was a challenge, and I think she'd kind of been given up, and she was probably like shrugging her shoulders, but she's probably fed up and being disappointed. But Tyra is like not impressed because she's like smirking that she's in the bottom two. So there's these two girls at the bottom two, Tiffany and someone else. I can't remember the other girl.
Yeah, exactly.
And Tyra's just like, Tiffany, this is a joke to you. And she just lets rip. And oh my God, I've never heard anyone shout at someone like that. And she never spoken to anyone like that.
No,
apparently.
Apparently not. And I think what was really crazy about that, because that we were not used to people answering back to judges on reality shows.
See, that's what was funny, because in Drag Race you had that, but they weren't allowed.
You couldn't do that there. Like, it was like, this girl has broken the fourth wall. And also because when we found out more about Tiffany, and basically she had such a difficult upbringing, and the way that they kind of used that against her, which was like, I mean, this is what makes me uncomfortable. Like, the one, I mean, I know what you mean. I'm the same. Like, I kind of feel two ways about it. Like, part of it cracks me up because it's just like the sheer ridiculousness of the situation. You know, when you look at it in like the kind of like very logical.
It's not scripted.
It's not scripted at all. And then you think of the other aspect of it, and you're just like, what the hell were they thinking? Like, you know, it's yeah. I mean, that clip is just like next
it's
level.
Like quoted so many times. I think if someone at work was like said to me, "Oh my God, we were rooting for you."
We were all rooting for, exactly. And you also think to yourself, well, look, if you're rooting for me, why are you shouting at me, bitch, on national TV? Like, take me to one side and like tell me. Because then also, you know, when Tiffany leaves as well, I don't think, and then also when they go through her, you know, when they show in the end, because the other thing I love about Top Model is that end card, you know, and it's that kind of all the models on the screen and then the model disappears. That's so sinister. And you're trying to guess who's going to be the winner.
I can never find them. I'm like, where is the girl?
And then and then at the end it's like, oh my God, she's there. What was really funny? This cracked me up. You know, when obviously Brexit was announced. So in June 2016, somebody did like a map of the EU.
With that sound.
With the din again, England. It's the best thing I've ever seen. You need to send it to me. I'm going to find it, but I was like...
Because that was something you only caught if you watched till the end. And they did that to the UK.
It was so funny.
Oh God! You know what? There were so many epic memes that will continue to come out of this show, and we have got to thank you, Tyra.
Tyra, honestly, you brought it to us. Oh my God, I'm crying with laughter. That was just
I need to see that. Because they play that music, dun, 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 dun. It's like really
kind of like it's like woo, like farmyard barn dance.
Whoosh.
And then like Ken Mock, executive producer Tyra, executive producer, like, you know, and then there's credits fly by. Next time on America's Next Top.
That's the first thing I'm going to do when we finish recording. I need to see that.
Oh goodness me.
Oh goodness.
Alrighty, well, you know, we've composed ourselves.
Oh my goodness.
Like, please do visit our socials to see that. I just
watched it.
Like, we literally have to just spend 5 minutes just crashing up.
I think I watched it about 50 times.
I know, we've just recovered. Let's not start again. Let's compose ourselves. Our makeup is completely destroyed.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so in the tradition of TPIM,
yes,
that's the podcast is mine, we have to do a quiz. Because you know how we always do quizzes about everything.
I'm really worried about this.
That's sacred to us. Now, this is like an A-level standard quiz, so it's going to be quite hard. It's not. No. This is not easy.
Okay.
Like, can I just say that I did this quiz and like I failed it because. So even
you sent me a quiz, I'm going to fail.
Exactly. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to answer straight away.
Oh, so I can't make notes.
No. Oh no! Put that pen paper on your pens down. Pens down, please. Put your hands on your desk.
Which lips?
Do you want to be sent out of the exam hall? Do you want the exam cancelled? Is that what you want?
Yes, please. Yes.
Just write your candidate number down. No, do you
I
remember?
used to hate that. I was like, they're going to know I'm ethnic from my handwriting. Stop telling me not to write my name down.
And what about those people who used to bring like lunch with them? Do you remember all the food? Like you could just have water and sweets, and like people would bring like kind of like
We
entire.
couldn't eat or drink in ours.
We were allowed sweets, and we were allowed a bottle of water. Of course, people took this to the next level. So, like, you suddenly everyone...
Flasks.
Exactly. Some people would do anything but study for the exam. They'd prepare. They had
We're going to eat for 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. They had, like, smash hits on their, like, lap. But they would not actually prepare for the exam. I was just like, if you put all that preparation into 1 hour...
If studying for the exam, you would probably ace it, yeah.
My favourite was, like, a science one. We had, like, an hour's paper or something. And the teacher came over and actually said that to me. She said, if you put as much preparation into your snack, as you do into your snacks, into your paper, you would pass this. And the other person just like kind of like Tiffany style just looked at her like,
She's like, what?
Exactly, rooting for me?
Who?
All right. Anyway, so I'm
quiz.
going to ask you, how many questions have I got here? Lol. I have got 10 questions. No, I've got 12 questions. Don't worry. No, they're not as difficult as... I'm just hyping it up.
Okay, okay.
So I just want you to answer as soon as you can.
Okay.
And and I will take your first answer in most cases.
Just flexing a little
Exactly.
bit. Yeah. Go.
Yeah, all right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this properly. So what's your name, please?
Sunny Gruel.
And your occupation?
America's Next Top Model reviewer.
Is the wrong answer. I asked you your occupation.
Yeah, that's my...
Zone 1 ho.
Oh, Zone 1 ho. Oh, whoops.
Zone 1 CEO.
Zone 1
Let's start again. Let's do this again.
Let's do it again.
Sorry, everyone, let's pretend that didn't happen. Yeah, exactly. Your name?
Sunny Gruel.
Your occupation?
Zone 1 ho.
And your specialist subject?
America's Next Top Model.
Right. So, Sunny, you have an indefinite amount of time to answer. But I will
People
be
are like, oh my God,
exactly.
we want to get off this podcast.
Exactly. Right. Okay. So, question 1. In which year did ANTM premiere?
2000.
2000. No. You've got 2 more guesses. Quick.
Later or earlier?
Later.
2002.
Nope.
1.
Nope. 2003.
Ah!
But I will give you the point
I'm
if you can tell me the
surprised.
month and you can tell me the network.
September. UPN.
Yeah! Right, you get the point. So it's actually May 2003 on UPN. And it was only on UPN for 2 seasons. Then it went to another network, and then it went to... And then that network then became the CW network.
It was on earlier than that.
No, it's May 2003.
That's when I started university. It was on before I went to university.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I had Living TV, remember?
Well, then so you better change that Wikipedia entry.
Oh my God.
Anyway, that's your first question.
Anyway.
All right. Question 2. Who was the French photographer who launched Tyra's career?
Oh God, Gilles Bensimon.
Correct. Which cycle saw the show switch to HD? And so, clue, this is...
Rita Ora's season.
Sadly not, but you got 2 more guesses. So the clue is
Number.
we did refer to this season earlier, and it made us laugh. It's quite a crossover.
It's when the men came in, probably.
No, we've got 1 more guess left.
When it became the British one?
Yes!
America's, yeah.
So the British invasion, cycle 18, it was, and you know, like here's an interesting fact.
18 to get into.
It was the second to last primetime show on the 5 major English language broadcast networks in the US to make the switch.
Wow.
So that's and that was a sign of success as well, because I remember there's some shows that didn't make it from ST to HD. R.I.P.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that was one of the last. Which 2 cities were the primary locations for ANTM? So which 2 US cities were the primary location for ANTM?
New York.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And LA.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Don't sound so hesitant.
Yes.
Which panelist was always introduced as a PR maven?
God, Kelly Catrone.
Correct. Complete this phrase. Congratulations, you are still in the what towards becoming ANTM?
The running.
You're correct. Which music video did the Cycle 9 girls participate in?
Cycle 9.
So it wasn't Tyra. It wasn't a Tyra video. Do you want a clue to who sang it? It's a man. He dated a very famous, world famous tennis star.
Enrico Iglesias.
Yes, correct. Do you know what the song was called?
Shake your booty.
It's called "Tired of Being Sorry."
Oh God!
By Enrico Iglesias.
Didn't have another hit.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, sure.
Sorry, he's fine.
What is the name of the contestant who went on to star in the film Crazy Stupid Love,
Oh.
which we mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
No, you've got 2 more guesses. It shows how much you were paying attention.
Sorry. I was so devastated I've not seen the film. I can't remember. Not Anchal. Just want to throw Anchal out there.
We didn't talk about Anchal. Oh my god! Right after this quiz, we're talking about Anchal.
Remember when Fabio was in that episode with Anchal?
Oh
Anchal
my
butt
god!
Was up in Fabio's face.
The worst thing for Anchal, I remember they had to do an episode on they were doing swimwear, and she had some great knockers, bless her. And they gave her this tiny string bikini. Do you remember? And she had to play volleyball. And to her credit, I mean, this is an example of like she was clearly uncomfortable. But she still did it, and she didn't fuss or complain. And then they didn't have any footage of her because they really wanted her to be. I can't wear that, but she showed them. So good for her.
Just because I'm a brown girl.
Yeah.
I mean, there was another clip. Remember when they were doing interviews and she was being interviewed, and they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" And she was like, "India." And she's like, "Well, no, actually, I'm American."
Yeah,
I'm India. It was so funny.
She spoke for all of us then because it was that confusion, wasn't it? When someone would ask you, like, where are you from? And you're like, well, I'm from London. No, where are you really from? And
where are you really from?
And then if you say, I'm from India, and they're like, oh, really? Were you born there? You're like, no, I was born in the same hospital as Prince William, but, clearly, where am I from? Like, But no, that was actually, Anchal was one of the first people.
She was the first Indian one, wasn't she?
Yes, I think so. And she was definitely representative of, because like Nigel Barker tried to play up his Indian heritage. You remember when he came to London, he's like, oh yeah, sorry, not Indian. She had Sri Lankan heritage.
Yes.
And then I thought, okay, this would be interesting. Like maybe he'll bring, and he didn't bring any of it.
No.
Like, and he just took everyone to that restaurant, Le Porte d'Indies in the Marble Arch.
We took it to Le Porte.
Yeah.
I do like Le Porte.
Yeah, and then...
Sorry.
And then Tyra is like, this one time I did a Bollywood shoot and she's wearing this green sari and she's like doing this really offensive pose. Like, the kind of multiple hands. And it's like, no, Tyra.
No,
that doesn't work. Yeah.
Appropriation.
And why are you wearing that shitty sari as well? Of all the saris you've ever worn. Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Just like basic, that's what we clean the windows with.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, this is a great one. You're going to love this. Which girl interrupts panel to show them how to correctly enter a club?
Oh.
Was this not obvious to you straight? Because I got this one straight away.
No. Remind me.
Give me so 3 guesses.
Oh, 3 guesses. Not Adrienne.
No.
Enter a club.
So this was
Anjali?
Yeah. Do you not remember this when she's like, hey.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Hey, yeah, how in the club.
Oh, my God, I remember that.
And what do we love about Anjali the most? Because we promised we'd mention this.
Booked 6 times. Oh, no. Oh, my God. I know.
We promised we would mention them. One thing about this podcast is we are thorough. Like we said in earlier episodes that we will pick this up later, and we will pick it up later.
We told you.
So
the Port Authority bus terminal.
I mean, like we're going to hell for laughing.
I know, because it's not funny.
It's not funny, but the poor love, she had to sleep at the Port Authority sometimes and if you've actually been to the Port Authority, it's like
it's rough.
It's scary. Like I would not want to. I don't know if you've ever been to like Vauxhall bus station or Oval.
It's all gentrified now, though, isn't it?
It's all gentrified, but even like in this day and age, like
the
Port Authority, it's quite scary to be a single woman on your own.
No, it's not funny.
For anyone there to be there. But I think what we used to laugh at was just her kind of. There was something about her that made us, and I think everybody else, and she knew it as well. She was a good sport.
She was a great sport. She was actually, did she not get kicked out for sleeping with one of the producers?
Yes, so this was. So do you remember she won All Stars, and then they did that thing where it's like retract, yeah, and then Lisa rather than give it to Alison, which is really annoying. But then it turned out that it was against the rules
to sleep with the producer.
Yeah, to get involved in the production team. Ken couldn't resist.
Ken Cock.
Bankable. Never lets you down.
Oh, God. Well, we love it. There's another place. I need to take you there. I might walk you there, actually, on the way home. There's a Port Authority right by where I live.
Oh, I think I've seen
it. Have you seen it? We need to do a photo shoot there.
We will. Absolutely. We will pay tribute. It also made me think of as well, do you remember how, so the drag race ANTM Nexus?
Yes.
Because Willem, do you remember the guy who threw up on panel? And then he gets thrown out.
Willem. Yes, I do.
So I think it was season 3 or season 4.
Why did he get kicked out?
So he, apparently in Drag Race, you're kept away from everybody and you get given your own hotel room. He had his boyfriend come over. And then that day he said he'd eaten loads of seafood and then wore a corset. And then that's why he chundered all over stage. Oh. That was so funny.
So that was nothing to do with why he left, the actual chundering?
The chundering had nothing to do with it, no.
Because I thought it was something to do with that. I was like, what? No.
By the way, for our US listeners and other international listeners, chundering means vomiting.
It's a very London thing.
You don't
chunder,
it's very posh, isn't it? Yeah,
just say
vom or vomcano. When someone's really gross, you're like, oh, vomcano, like, you know. All right, and then and then 2 more questions. So this question, who said this is not America's next top best friend?
Jade. That biracial butterfly, as she calls herself.
Undiscovered supermodel. Now, the final question, this is like a bit of it's not an easy question.
Okay.
Well, I say it's not easy. But I think I'm going to time you for this. So this is why you're going to hear a couple of beeps, listeners. So
oh my God, I've got to name winners, haven't I?
So, no.
Good.
So it's easier than that. So, aside from Tyra Banks, Mr. J, Miss J, Nigel Barker, and Janice Dickinson, name any 5 permanent judges or staff members on ANTM.
Oh.
And your time, so you've got 1 minute, and your time starts now.
Johnny Woojack.
Correct.
Brian Boyd.
Correct.
Paulina Poroskova.
Correct.
Kelly Catrone.
Correct.
And then, the one that used to say Drecatude. Or, wait a minute, Healthy Pasta. What's her name again? Oh my God, her name.
Oh, you've got 40 seconds left. You've got time. You can do this.
How about Kat Deely was on there once. She was a guest. There is trying to think.
Who have we talked about?
We have talked.
Who got given lip? I love that you're doing choreography. The ANTM choreography.
Rita Ora. She was a permanent.
Yes. So,
Ashley
Graham. Healthy pasta people.
I got a bonus boy.
So, yeah, do you, is there any more you can remember, or do you want me to run through them?
We'll go run through them.
Shall I run through them? So, So, Kimora Lee Simmons. How could you forget Kimora Lee? It's just Kimora Lee. She was on season 1.
As like a constant judge?
Yeah, she was a judge in the first season. I remember that. It's about Baby Fat. Do you remember? That's where I learned about Baby Fat from.
Okay.
Kimora, Bo Quillian.
I don't remember.
So he was like on the panel. Nole Marlin. Do you remember that sort of guy who looked like Penfold from Danger Mouse?
Yes.
He was on there too. Then there's obviously Twiggy. We had Paulina Poroskova.
Yes. I said her, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. For the high fashion cycle, we had Andre Leontali.
That's your Drecatude.
No, so Law Roach was the Drecatude. Was it?
No, it was
it Andre Leontali?
Yeah, because he was like, I'm going to hang that up in my salon.
Oh, yeah, that's... I stand corrected. Correct. Paulina Poroskova, Andre Leontali, Kelly Catrone, Rob Evans. Do you remember when they had a male model on the panel?
Was he cute?
Yeah, he was really good looking.
I can't remember.
Do you remember? And then they would always have because they wanted to have a male model perspective.
I don't remember him.
Girl. Brian Boy, Ashley Graham, and then you could have Drew Elliott, who I think is a really good judge. I like him, like as an editor of paper. I think he's relevant. No. And then Law Roach. But yeah, Ashley Graham. Oh God! So there's a clip of Ashley that Sunny and I have replicated in Zone 1 kind of hotspots around town. So what we do is it's basically Ashley jumping on a trampoline. And it shouldn't be funny. It's not, but it is. It just kills us because I think once YouTube can take the blame for this. Somebody said, "Look, what was it? They called it mighty baboons bouncing or something."
It's just because she was trying to say, "Look, you can keep your face," while trying to jump
on a trampoline.
She wasn't keeping it face. She was losing it, and it was just so bad. And I was like, "Gosh."
And then there was also like another time when she was talking about the girls about nutrition. And she's healthy, and then she was like healthy pasta, and then she was making like this pasta, and she just put all this sauce and like it's like so like not healthy.
It was not healthy. It was starch. I was
like, how the hell are you going to do a fashion shoot like that after you've eaten a bowl of pasta? Like like even with my Bhushan Fashion Friday, I always do my shoots. Like I always eat after.
Lunch,
yeah. I don't eat beforehand because I soon realised, like, when I used to eat beforehand, I couldn't hit the poses that I wanted to. There's just something different about being hungry.
Blood flush into your digestive system.
Exactly.
I can't focus.
Oh gosh. But anyway, listen, you did well on that quiz.
Yeah,
it wasn't as hard as you thought, was it?
Yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah, I got scared you. I didn't want to get that hard. Anyway, I'm going to take it to the bridge now. Anyway, so whether ANTM comes back or not, it has left a significant imprint on the world of reality TV and indeed on us. I mean, where would we be without the go-sees, the crazy shoots, and Tyra making up the rules on the spot? A modern version might not capture the magic of before, But it could create a new and exciting energy that speaks to fans and creates a new following altogether.
I do hope it comes back.
I do too. I think, like, I really hope they work on it and they kind of revive it in a way that is appropriate.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would definitely love to see
Yeah,
that.
Tyra's got a little bit more fame after presenting
Dancing with the Stars.
So maybe they'll be like, look, Tyra, we'll
Yeah.
give you one last chance.
Her equity has risen. So, like, she's got, like, she's a name. She's always been a name, but, like, I think with ANTM as well, there's such a dedicated fan following.
Yeah.
Because what was really interesting when we announced the podcast, a couple of people messaged me and said, "Please tell me you're going to do an episode on ANTM." And I was like, "No, we're not going to do an episode on ANTM. We're doing 2 episodes on ANTM."
We're spoiling everyone.
And they were like, "Yes!" Like, so I really hope it does come back.
Fingers crossed.
So, but in the meantime, while ANTM is not there, you do have TPIM. The podcast is mine. We are here for you. So, Sunny, why don't you?
Shall I have a go?
All on your own.
Okay,
I'm just going to keep
right.
quiet. So, just for clarity.
On our socials, you can contact us on Facebook and Instagram at The Podcast Is Mine. On Twitter, it's slightly different. It's Podcast Is Mine.
Yes, it is.
And if you want to TikTok. We're also on TikTok now. You can contact us on The Podcast Is Mine.
You got it.
And if you want to send us an email, it's thepodcastismine@gmail.com.
Yeah,
it's only taken 10 episodes.
Finally, she's there. Celebration.
Now maybe say it in Italian.
Yeah, exactly. Say it while you're walking up the stairs.
Putting on that red lipstick for CoverGirl Queen Collection.
We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. I have never yelled at somebody like this before.
There's just one more thing to say.
Oh, no, exactly. And I think that is, the podcast is mine.
No, it's mine.